The first anomaly appeared on Dr. Elena Rodriguez's monitoring screens at 3:47 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. At first, she dismissed it as equipment malfunction. The quantum resonance sensors she'd installed throughout the Pacific Ocean's deepest trenches often picked up strange readings. But as she cross-referenced the data with other monitoring stations, her hands began to tremble. This was no malfunction. The seafloor was singing. Not in any conventional sense. These were quantum-level vibrations, a symphony of subatomic particles dancing to an alien rhythm. Elena had spent 15 years studying deep-sea geological phenomena, but she'd never seen anything like this. The pattern was too regular, too precise to be natural. "Dr. Chen," she called out to her colleague, who was dozing in front of his own array of monitors, "I need you to verify something." David Chen, the quantum physics specialist the Global Deep Sea Research Initiative had assigned to her team, shuffled over. His perpetually disheveled appearance belied one of the sharpest minds in theoretical physics. As his eyes focused on the data streams, all traces of sleepiness vanished. "That's impossible," he whispered, fingers flying across the holographic interface. "These signatures, they're organized, structured, like a language written in quantum fluctuations." Elena nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of the monitors. "Look at the mineral composition readings from the same area." She pulled up another dataset, overlaying it with the quantum signatures. "Whatever's causing these disturbances is simultaneously extracting rare earth elements from the seabed with 100% efficiency. Human technology isn't capable of this," David said, stating the obvious. "Even our best extraction methods only achieve 60% efficiency, and that's in controlled conditions." "Exactly." Elena stood, pacing the length of the monitoring station. The facility, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, had been her home for the past 5 years. Now, for the first time, she felt like an intruder in her own domain. The question is, if we didn't build this technology, who did? The answer came 3 hours later, and it wasn't what anyone expected. The quantum signatures suddenly intensified, and a section of the ocean floor simply disappeared. A perfect circle, 500 meters in diameter, vanished along with all the rare earth elements it contained. In its place, a shimmer of energy revealed something that shouldn't exist, a vessel of impossible geometry, its surface rippling like liquid metal frozen in time. "My God," David breathed, as the vessel rose through the water without creating so much as a current. "They've been here all along." Elena's neural implant was already recording everything, transmitting data to secure servers around the world. Whatever happened next, humanity would have evidence. How long? She wondered aloud. How long have they been stealing from us? The answer to that question would shake the foundations of human civilization. Within 24 hours, similar reports flooded in from deep-sea research stations worldwide. The Mariana Trench, the Puerto Rico Trench, the Java Trench, all showed evidence of systematic mineral extraction going back centuries. Humanity had never noticed because the technology involved operated on principles they'd only begun to understand in the last decade. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session as panic spread across the globe. Stocks plummeted as corporations realized their precious rare earth element reserves were being siphoned away by an unknown alien civilization. Religious leaders struggled to incorporate the existence of advanced extraterrestrial life into their worldviews. But Elena wasn't interested in the chaos above. She was focused on the patterns emerging from her data. The quantum signatures weren't just evidence of mining technology. They were messages. With David's help, she began decoding them. The first translated message arrived just as the council was debating whether to attempt contact with the alien miners. It was addressed to the primitive species currently occupying Earth's surface, and its content was clear. This planet's resources belong to the Meridian Collective by right of discovery and technological superiority. Humanity's recent ability to detect their operations was noted but irrelevant. They advised against interference. "They don't even see us as equals," David said, his voice tight with anger. To them, we're just an inconvenience, animals who happen to evolve on their mining colony. Elena stared at the quantum signature patterns, seeing something the Meridians had missed. Yes, humanity had only recently developed the technology to detect their operations. But in doing so, they'd also developed something else, something that made them far more dangerous than the Meridians realized. They think we're primitive because we only just noticed them, she said slowly, a plan forming in her mind. But they don't understand what that detection technology represents. We've cracked quantum manipulation, David. We can see their messages because we've developed our own quantum computing systems. David's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. Systems that could, theoretically, interfere with their mining operations. Exactly. Elena pulled up the quantum signature patterns again, but this time she wasn't trying to decode them. She was looking for vulnerabilities. They've been using the same quantum frequencies for centuries, never thinking they'd need to secure them against interference. Why would they? No primitive species could possibly understand their technology, let alone disrupt it. The irony was beautiful. The very arrogance that had led the Meridians to dismiss humanity would be their undoing. Because while they'd been complacently mining Earth's resources, humanity had been developing the exact tools needed to fight back. Elena's fingers flew across her console as she began drafting a proposal for the council. The Meridians thought they were dealing with helpless primitives. They were about to learn that humanity had teeth, quantum teeth, and wasn't afraid to bite back. As she worked, a message from the Meridians flashed across her screen. Cease your attempts to decode our communications. Your species is not ready for this level of understanding. Elena smiled, a predatory expression that would have confused the Meridians with their limited understanding of human expressions. On the contrary, she muttered, initiating a series of quantum protocols that would change everything. We understand far more than you think. The silent war for Earth's resources was about to become very, very loud. The Global Deep Sea Research Initiative's Central Command Hub hummed with nervous energy. 3 days had passed since humanity's first contact with the Meridians, and Elena Rodriguez hadn't slept for most of them. The holographic displays surrounding her workstation showed a real-time map of alien mining operations across Earth's oceans, each site marked by a pulsing red dot. They're not even trying to hide anymore, David Chen said, gesturing at the displays. Since the Meridians had revealed themselves, their mining operations had increased by 300%. They're daring us to stop them. Elena nodded, her attention focused on the quantum signature analyses running through her neural interface. The aliens' arrogance was staggering. They continued to use the same quantum frequencies, the same transmission protocols, never considering that humanity might have developed countermeasures. Look at this, she called David over, highlighting a particular pattern in the quantum noise. Their entire mining operation runs on a synchronized quantum network. Every ship, every extraction point, all connected through quantum entanglement. David leaned closer, his eyes widening as he processed the implications. It's efficient, he admitted. With quantum entanglement, they can coordinate their entire fleet instantaneously, regardless of distance. But a slow smile spread across his face. It's also their weakness. Elena returned the smile. Exactly. One network, one point of failure. And they've given us everything we need to exploit it. The quantum computing lab that occupied the lower levels of the facility had been humanity's best-kept secret. While the world's governments publicly focused on traditional computing advances, a select group of scientists had been pushing the boundaries of quantum manipulation. The Meridians' arrival had only confirmed what they'd theorized. Quantum computing wasn't just possible, it was the key to interstellar technology. General Williams is on Secure Channel 1, Elena's neural implant announced. She accepted the call, and the weathered face of Earth's defense coordinator appeared in her visual field. Dr. Rodriguez, please tell me you have something, Williams said without preamble. The Security Council is about to approve a conventional military response, and we both know how that will end. "We have something better than weapons, General." Elena began transmitting her findings. "The Meridian's entire operation depends on quantum entanglement for coordination. They're so confident in their technological superiority that they haven't bothered to encrypt their transmissions beyond basic quantum protocols. Protocols that we can now understand," David added, joining the conversation. "And if we can understand them, we can disrupt them," Elena finished. "But we need to act fast, before they realize what we're capable of." William's expression remained stern, but there was a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "What do you need?" "Access to all of Earth's quantum computing resources," Elena said immediately, "and permission to implement Protocol Omega." There was a long pause. Protocol Omega was theoretical, a way to use quantum interference patterns to disrupt other quantum systems. It had never been tested on this scale. If it failed, Earth would lose its only advantage. If it worked, "Granted," Williams said finally. "But Dr. Rodriguez, we get one shot at this. Make it count." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Quantum computing centers around the world were brought online, their combined processing power channeled through the deep-sea facility systems. Elena and David worked tirelessly, fine-tuning the interference patterns that would target the Meridian's network. "They're starting another extraction," one of the technicians announced. The holographic display showed a new mining ship materializing above the mid-Atlantic ridge. "Quantum signatures are consistent with previous operations." Elena took a deep breath. "Now we see if arrogance has a price." She initiated the protocol sequence, her fingers dancing across the neural interface, targeting their quantum network in 3, 2, 1. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. Across the world's oceans, Meridian mining ships suddenly lost coordination. Their perfect quantum harmony shattered as Earth's interference patterns cascaded through their network. Ships attempting to phase through water found themselves stuck between states. Extraction beams flickered and died. "It's working," David exclaimed, monitoring the quantum feedback. "Their entire network is destabilizing." But Elena wasn't celebrating yet. She watched as the Meridian ships struggled to reestablish their quantum connections, trying to switch to alternative frequencies. But she prepared for this. The interference pattern shifted with them, a quantum dance that humanity had perfected in secret. The first message from the Meridians arrived minutes later. "Cease your interference immediately. This level of quantum manipulation should be beyond your capabilities." Elena's response was simple. "Clearly, you've underestimated us." The alien's next message contained something new, a hint of uncertainty. "This is impossible. Your species has shown no signs of quantum technological development." "Perhaps," Elena transmitted back, "you should have looked closer before dismissing us as primitives." The quantum displays showed the Meridian ships retreating, their mining operations abandoned as they struggled to maintain basic functions. But Elena knew this was just the beginning. The aliens wouldn't accept defeat easily. They'd return with new tactics, new technologies. "We've bought ourselves some time," she told David as they watched the last mining ship disappear. "But now that they know what we're capable of, the real fight is just beginning." David nodded, his expression grim but determined. "At least now they know. Earth isn't their private mining colony anymore. We're not just animals who happen to evolve here. We're a force they have to reckon with." Elena turned back to her quantum displays, already planning the next phase. The Meridians had awakened humanity's defensive instincts, not realizing that sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the biggest weapons, but the one who has been quietly preparing for war while pretending to be harmless. The game had changed, and humanity was playing for keeps. The Meridian response came at dawn. Elena was reviewing quantum interference patterns when the facility's sensors detected massive energy signatures materializing in Earth's orbit. The alien ships were unlike anything they'd seen before, massive crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them. "They've brought their military," David said, his voice tight as he analyzed the readings. Those aren't mining vessels. They're warships. Elena watched as more ships appeared, forming a grid pattern around the planet. Her neural interface was already calculating possible scenarios, none of them good. The Meridians had abandoned subtlety for raw power, believing they could overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer force. All stations, full quantum lockdown, she ordered through the facility's command network. Activate dormant defense protocols. They're going to try to brute force their way through our interference. The alien transmission that followed was encoded in a new quantum frequency, but Earth's systems adapted quickly. The message was simple. Your resistance is unprecedented but futile. Submit to resource appropriation, or face extinction-level consequences. Elena's hands moved across her neural interface, initializing responses she'd hoped they wouldn't need. They still think this is about the mining, she told David. They don't understand what they've really stumbled into. For 15 years, while the Meridians had complacently stripped Earth's resources, humanity had been preparing, not just developing quantum computing, but weaving a defensive network throughout the planet's core. Every tremor from their mining operations had been recorded, analyzed, and used to strengthen Earth's hidden shield. General Williams, Elena activated her secure channel. They're here. Request permission to activate the Gaia Protocol. There was a pause before Williams responded. The Security Council has given authorization. God help us all. Elena nodded to David, who began the initialization sequence. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, quantum resonators that had laid dormant for years began to power up. The planet itself would become their weapon. The first Meridian attack came as a wave of quantum disruption energy, meant to overwhelm Earth's interference patterns. But instead of finding a primitive defense system, they encountered something extraordinary. The planet's magnetic field itself shifted, transformed by humanity's quantum network into an impenetrable shield. They're trying to adapt, David reported, watching the alien ships adjust their attack patterns. But they can't match our frequency shifts. We're not just defending. We're learning from every attack. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, she said. It's our ability to adapt, to learn, to turn our opponent's strengths against them. The Meridian fleet's next attack was more focused, targeting specific points around the globe. But Earth's defense network responded instantly, the quantum shield flexing and strengthening where needed. Each attack pattern was analyzed, countered, and added to the system's growing database. Dr. Rodriguez, a technician, called out, "We're detecting unusual energy readings from the Meridian flagship. They're charging something massive." Elena's neural interface flashed warning signals as she analyzed the data. The aliens were preparing to deploy a weapon that would tear apart Earth's quantum field at the subatomic level. It would have worked perfectly against the primitive civilization they thought they were fighting. "Initialize Counter Protocol Lambda," she ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you corner a species that's been quietly studying your technology for centuries." The quantum network hummed with power as humanity's true defensive capabilities revealed themselves. Every mining site the Meridians had established over the centuries had left behind quantum traces. Now those traces became anchor points for Earth's counterattack. The alien weapon fired, a beam of pure quantum disruption that should have shattered Earth's defenses. Instead, the energy was caught, channeled, and redirected through the ancient mining sites. The Meridian fleet found their own quantum networks disrupted by the very energy signatures they'd left behind. "Impossible," came the alien transmission. "This technology, you couldn't have developed this independently." "We didn't," Elena transmitted back. "You taught us. Every time you mined our resources, every quantum signature you left behind, we studied them all. You gave us the keys to your own defeat." The Meridian ships began to retreat, their supposedly superior technology rendered useless by humanity's adaptation of their own principles. But Elena knew this wasn't over. The aliens would return with new weapons, new strategies. "David," she called across the command center. Begin Phase 2 of the Gaia Protocol. If they want Earth's resources, let's show them exactly what those resources can do in the hands of the species that evolved to use them. As the alien fleet withdrew to regroup, Earth's quantum network continued to expand, incorporating more of the knowledge they'd gained from this first real confrontation. The Meridians had thought they were facing a primitive civilization, playing with technology beyond its understanding. Instead, they'd awakened a sleeping giant that had been studying them all along. The next phase of the war would determine not just the fate of Earth's resources, but humanity's place in the galactic order. And Elena Rodriguez, watching the retreat of the Meridian fleet, knew that humanity was ready. They had turned centuries of exploitation into the ultimate defense, proving that sometimes the best weapon isn't the biggest ship or the strongest weapon. It's the patience to learn from every defeat until victory becomes inevitable. In the aftermath of the Meridian fleet's retreat, Elena found herself in a secure chamber 2 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, analyzing data that made her question everything they thought they knew about their adversaries. The quantum signatures from the alien ships had revealed patterns she hadn't expected. Desperate patterns. "David, look at this," she called to her colleague, who was monitoring the global defense grid. "The energy signatures from their weapons systems. They're not just aggressive, they're unstable." David joined her at the quantum analysis station, his eyes narrowing as he studied the data streams. "These readings don't make sense. Their technology is far more advanced than ours, but these patterns suggest their systems are barely holding together." Elena nodded, her neural interface processing multiple scenarios simultaneously. It's like they're running on emergency power, pushing their systems beyond safe limits. But why would an advanced civilization take such risks? The answer came from an unexpected source. During the battle, Earth's quantum network had absorbed massive amounts of data from the Meridian fleet's communications. Now, as their AI systems decoded this information, a startling picture began to emerge. "Dr. Rodriguez," her neural implant announced, "we've decoded a significant portion of their internal communications. You need to see this immediately." The holographic display filled with translated alien text, and Elena felt her breath catch. The Meridians weren't just mining Earth for resources, they were mining for survival. Their civilization was facing an existential crisis, one that only Earth's unique combination of rare Earth elements could solve. "Their sun is dying," she whispered, reading through the data. "Not just aging naturally, it's being consumed by some kind of quantum decay. The elements they're taking from Earth are the only things that can stabilize their containment systems." David's expression shifted from anger to something more complex. So all this time, they weren't just being greedy or imperial. They were desperate. Desperate enough to risk everything. Elena agreed, but too proud to simply ask for help. "They chose to treat us as primitives rather than admit they needed us." A new transmission from the Meridian fleet interrupted their discussion. The message was different this time. Less imperial, more urgent. "Your species has demonstrated unexpected capabilities. We propose a temporary cessation of hostilities to prevent unnecessary losses on both sides." Elena exchanged glances with David. "They're still not willing to admit the truth," she said. "But maybe we can force the issue." Her fingers flew across the neural interface as she composed a response. "We know about your solar crisis. Your quantum signatures tell us everything. Perhaps it's time for real dialogue." The silence that followed lasted nearly 10 minutes. When the Meridians finally responded, their message carried a different tone entirely. "How did you? Our quantum encryption should have been impenetrable. We learned from you," Elena transmitted back. "Every mining operation, every quantum signature you left behind. They were our teachers. Now shall we discuss your actual needs rather than maintaining this pretense of superiority?" The next few hours were unprecedented in human history. As Earth's leaders gathered virtually, the Meridians finally revealed the full scope of their crisis. Their star, far older than Earth's sun, had entered a phase of quantum instability that their most advanced technology could barely contain. Without a steady supply of specific rare earth elements, their entire civilization faced extinction. "We could have helped you," Elena told the Meridian representative during the emergency conference. "Instead, you chose to treat us as obstacles rather than potential allies." The aliens' response was transmitted with what their quantum analysis suggested was the equivalent of shame. "Our civilization has existed for millennia. The thought of depending on a younger species, it challenged everything we believed about our place in the universe." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Perhaps that's exactly what your civilization needed. A reminder that age and advancement don't always equal wisdom." As the diplomatic discussions continued, Elena and David worked with their team to analyze the Meridian's solar containment technology. The quantum principles involved were fascinating, a blend of advanced science and desperate innovation. "We can help them," David concluded after hours of analysis. "Their approach to quantum containment is more advanced than ours, but our understanding of Earth's elements and their interactions is superior. Together we might solve their crisis," Elena finished. "But first, they need to accept us as equals." The revelation of the Meridian's vulnerability had shifted the dynamic completely. Their mighty fleet, still hovering at the edge of the solar system, no longer appeared as an invasion force, but as a testament to their civilization's determination to survive. Elena looked at the quantum data streams, seeing not just information but opportunity. Humanity had proven itself capable of matching and even surpassing Meridian technology in some areas. Now they had the chance to prove something even more important, that true strength lies not in domination, but in the ability to help others even after they've wronged you. "Send a message to the Meridian fleet," she instructed her neural interface. "Tell them we're ready to begin joint research on their solar containment systems. But first, we need to establish new protocols, ones that recognize both our species as equals." The future that was unfolding wasn't the one either species had envisioned. Instead of conquest or submission, they faced the possibility of something far more challenging and potentially rewarding: cooperation between equals, each bringing their unique strengths to solve a crisis that threatened to consume an entire civilization. 6 months after the Meridian fleet's retreat, the Global Deep Sea Research Initiative had transformed. What was once a secret facility monitoring alien mining operations had become the heart of the most ambitious scientific collaboration in human history. Elena stood at her familiar quantum interface station, but now she was surrounded by both human and Meridian scientists, all working toward a common goal. "The containment field simulations are showing 97% stability," David announced, his neural interface synchronizing with the facility's quantum displays. "That's a 12% improvement over the Meridian's original design." A Meridian scientist, their crystalline form refracting light, in patterns that Elena had learned indicated approval, added their own analysis through the quantum translator. "The integration of Earth's rare elements with our quantum matrices has exceeded all theoretical predictions. We never considered combining them in this way." Elena smiled, remembering the journey that had brought them here. After the revelation of the Meridian's dying sun, both species had faced a choice: continue their conflict or work together to solve a crisis that threatened to consume an entire civilization. The decision, ultimately, hadn't been as difficult as anyone expected. "Your species continues to surprise us," the Meridian scientist communicated. "When we first detected your quantum interference patterns, we assumed you had simply copied our technology without understanding it. We were wrong on both counts." "That seems to be a recurring theme," Elena replied diplomatically, "though perhaps the surprise goes both ways. We never expected to be working alongside the very species that once treated us as primitives." The Meridian's crystalline surface rippled in what Elena now recognized as their equivalent of rueful acknowledgement. Their society, based on age and technological superiority, had been forced to confront its own prejudices. The discovery that a younger species could not only match their quantum technology, but improve upon it had sparked a cultural revolution among their people. The latest data from the solar monitoring probes is coming in, David called out, drawing everyone's attention to the main display. The holographic image showed the meridian sun, its surface writhing with quantum instabilities that threatened to tear it apart. But now, surrounding the star, a network of containment satellites pulsed with combined human and meridian technology. The LINA's neural interface processed the incoming data streams. The containment field was holding stronger than ever, using Earth's rare elements in ways the Meridians had never imagined. Human scientists, unconstrained by centuries of traditional quantum theory, had approached the problem from entirely new angles. To think, the Meridian scientist communicated, if we had simply approached your species openly from the beginning, shared our need. The past is done. Elena interrupted gently. What matters is what we do now. She brought up another display, showing the new treaty being finalized between Earth and the Meridian Confederation. The sustainable mining protocols are ready for implementation. Your people will have the elements they need, and Earth's resources will be protected for future generations. But the collaboration had grown beyond mere resource exchange. Meridian quantum technology, combined with human innovation, was opening new frontiers. Already, joint research teams were exploring applications that neither species had conceived of alone. The Quantum Fold space drive is ready for its first test, David reported, referring to the new propulsion system that combined Meridian quantum manipulation with human theoretical frameworks. If it works, we'll have viable interstellar travel within a decade. Elena nodded, remembering how impossible such an achievement had seemed just months ago. And the new deep space quantum communication network, online and stable. The Meridian scientist confirmed. Your species' approach to quantum entanglement has revolutionized our understanding of long-distance communication. The facility hummed with the energy of two civilizations working in harmony, each bringing their unique strengths to bear on challenges that had once seemed insurmountable. The Meridians contributed their centuries of quantum expertise, while humanity offered fresh perspectives and innovative solutions that centuries of tradition had blinded the older species to. We're receiving a priority transmission from the Meridian homeworld, Elena's neural implant announced. The message that followed caused her to pause, then smile. They're requesting our assistance with another project. Apparently, there are other species in the galaxy they've underestimated. David laughed. Are we becoming the Meridian's diplomatic court now? Perhaps, Elena replied. We're becoming something better. Proof that age and technology aren't the only measures of civilization. That sometimes the greatest strength lies not in power or knowledge, but in the willingness to learn from those you once thought beneath you. As she composed Earth's response to the Meridian request, Elena reflected on how far both species had come. What had begun as a conflict over resources had evolved into something far more valuable, a partnership that promised to reshape the galaxy's understanding of what civilization could be. The quantum displays showed the combined fleet of human and Meridian ships preparing for their next joint mission. Together, they would face whatever challenges the universe presented, not as superior and inferior, not as old and young, but as equals who had learned that the greatest achievements come not from domination, but from cooperation. In the end, humanity's greatest victory hadn't been in defeating the Meridians, but in showing them a better way forward. And perhaps that, more than any technology or resource, was humanity's most valuable contribution to the galaxy.